Hi there, welcome along to Lunchtime Live. Potentially big news coming out of Scotland this, so let's get straight to Ibrox and join Gordon Duncan. Gordon, what do we know?
Yeah, as you say, a significant step, it looks like, in the search for the next Rangers manager, for Russell Martin's successor. And it is that talks with Steven Gerrard over what would be a sensational return are due to take place this week. We revealed on Sky Sports News last night Rangers wanted those discussions. We also revealed that Steven Gerrard was willing to have them. So the next step was likely to follow, that there would be an arrangement in place to get the two parties together. And it looks like that will be the case. Of course, nothing is ever straightforward in football. It doesn't mean that this is straightforward. It doesn't mean it is automatic, because although Steven Gerrard is available and is out of work, he's reportedly settled in the Middle East with his family. Of course, like any manager, he would have to be assured that this is the right project for him. Rangers are some way off the pace in the league. They've lost their opening 2 Europa League games as well. There is a whole world of negativity surrounding the club at the moment, given the way the season has started. So Rangers American ownership group, they're believed to be leading the search for the next manager, and that search appears to be taking them into talks with Steven Gerrard.
I want a certain type of challenge. If in an ideal world they come available, I'll jump at them. If they don't, I won't go back in. I want to be at a team that's going to compete to win, because I think that suits me better. I've had 5 or 6 really interesting phone calls since I stopped in Saudi. And I haven't been ready, because I haven't got that team set around me, and the timing hasn't been right. My daughter's just had a baby, I've just become a granddad, I wasn't ready. I haven't got my staff ready. So unfortunately, them opportunities or them phone calls have come at the wrong time, if you like. But if the right call comes my way, the right club, the right challenge, and I've got my people set, which I will have at some point, I'll take that challenge on.
Yeah, Steven Gerrard there speaking on the Rio Ferdinand Presents podcast. I wonder if the listening figures, the viewing figures for that in the Glasgow area went through the roof yesterday, because it felt like the Rangers fans were hanging on his every word, looking for just a clue. When he talks about the right project and he spoke about a club where he can win things, you can almost imagine the Rangers fans trying to join the dots. It was interesting though, where he spoke about trying to get his staff together and make sure that that's all in place, because that is something that worked well for Steven Gerrard here the last time. He had Michael Beale alongside him, and Gary McAllister, who's also spoken in the last few days about potentially being keen on a return. The Michael Beale situation may be a bit more complex, given that he went on to be a Rangers manager here, who was ultimately sacked as well. But all the things Steven Gerrard's saying seems to be exciting most of the Rangers fans. Now, clearly, in any part of the footballing world, you're not going to get consensus. Not everyone is going to agree, especially here. And I don't think Steven Gerrard goes down as a perfect appointment who ticks every box. He's maybe not had a brilliant time managerially since he left Ibrox. However, he did deliver that 55th title. He did deliver the title that stopped Celtic winning 10 in a row. There were signs of progress. Again, worth repeating. Not trying to say it was perfect. There were bumps along the way, and people will sometimes point to 1 trophy in 9. But it just feels like there is more pressure than ever on Rangers to make this appointment a popular one, because Russell Martin wasn't, and it really went against him, and it didn't work in the end. When we spoke to Rangers fans over the last few days, it feels like the good memories of Steven Gerrard keep coming back to them. As we mentioned there, that level of success that he did have, and perhaps even just the man himself, the leadership skills, the aura that he had, the sort of way that he conducted himself. Even in press conferences, it might seem like a small thing, but Rangers fans never bought into Russell Martin. They want to buy into the next guy, and it feels like most of them feel it could be Steven Gerrard. We spoke to Rangers fan Ricky Neal earlier on, of course, and here's what he had to say on that topic.
He's the fans' choice, and I think the 49ers are now starting to listen to the fans. The Russell Martin thing was a total disaster, and they've put their hands up and admitted they were wrong. I think Steven Gerrard, he understands Rangers. He's got the class. He turns up in the suit, he makes the players wear suits, and it's things like that. The standards at Ibrox have totally changed under Russell Martin. He was turning up in a Primark blazer with a black t-shirt and things like that on, just no respect to the club, and the players as well. They were turning up in joggy bottoms and things like that. I just think Steven Gerrard totally understands what Rangers, and he understands the history.
It's pretty obvious, isn't it, from everyone on the outside, that it's been quite toxic, hasn't it, down at Ibrox so far this season, just the 1 win in the league. So if Steven Gerrard was to come in, what would success look like for him for the rest of the season?
I think what's alarming for the Rangers fans is some of them will be looking at the league table, finding Rangers in 8th place, so far off not only Celtic but Hearts as well, who are actually at the top of the Premiership. They might be wondering if a league title challenge is gone. That said, it is extremely early. It's the first week in October. There is plenty of time. Rangers would have to play Celtic 3 times. They would have to play Hearts 3 times. So there would be plenty of scope. I think there would still be a core of the Rangers fans who would expect a title challenge of sorts. I think he would be forgiven if he couldn't quite get it over the line. But as toxic as it's been, and as you mentioned, it really has been, Rangers still fighting on a number of fronts. They're still in the League Cup semi-final. The Scottish Cup hasn't got underway. Yes, the European campaign hasn't started well with 2 defeats, but they're still in the Europa League as well. So this club is built on winning trophies. Well, that's what the Rangers fans always say. They want to at least be in the mix. So I think a title challenge of sorts, with some progress in Europe, because Steven Gerrard was used to that, and maybe trying to land some silverware. But those are long-term targets. The bar is actually so low at Rangers at the moment that it just feels like come in, win some games, try and get a feel-good factor, try and get Ibrox rocking again, because it's not been... This is a club where when Rangers score in the last few weeks, they then turn their attentions on trying to get the manager out. That's how toxic it had become. So first things first would be to get that feel-good factor back and then look towards those mid to long-term targets, whoever it may be.
Yeah, you mentioned there, Gordon, a title challenge of some sorts, get closer to Celtic, but at the moment, they're not even going to qualify for Europe if you look at the table. So if Rangers didn't qualify for Europe at the end of the season, I know it's a long way away, but how disastrous would that be?
Unthinkable, to be honest. I think even at this stage, I still think the most pessimistic Rangers fans, and we accept what the league table looks like, that is genuinely unthinkable with the budgets and just the disparity between the teams here. We know that it's not a guarantee, but it's easy sometimes to overlook. The gulf here between Glasgow's Big Two and the rest is about as bigger than any other league you would find anywhere in Europe. So it genuinely would be unthinkable. The fact that it is so early, there's so much football to be played, the margins are still fine. As bad as it got under Russell Martin, there was a point late on Sunday afternoon where Rangers were winning and Celtic were losing at home to Motherwell, and the gap was actually quite manageable. But all of a sudden, Falkirk equalised, so did Celtic, and Daisen Maeda popped up with an injury time winner for Celtic, because that's what Celtic do. And then the gap is massive again, and we all know Russell Martin loses his job. Listen, he may have lost his job anyway. It had got pretty bad here, but I still think there's so much football left to be played. The Rangers fans think it's bad. I don't think they believe it's not qualifying for Europe bad just yet.